I'm low income. I work a full-time 9 to 5. I have 2 YouTube channels, and I pet sit just to stay ahead. So freezer prepping has become a lifesaver. If you're also low income, you know that eating out just isn't an option. Most of what I'm using today came from the food pantry, so if you want to see that full haul, it's in my last video. There are a lot of onions in this freezer prep because they were on sale. 3 pounds for $1. The first thing I'm making is this untraditional tomato sauce. I used frozen tomatoes from my parents' garden and roasted them with onions and fresh garlic, also from the garden. While that was roasting, I started a loaf of homemade bread. My recipe is super simple. 1 tablespoon of yeast and 1.5 cups of warm water. My mom actually taught me how to bake bread when I was little, and she always said the water should feel like bath water. I know it's subjective, but think of it as kids' bath water. If it's too cool, the yeast won't activate. If it's too hot, it'll kill the yeast. Then a few spoons of sugar, up to 1/4 cup, and a bit of oil or butter. Mix that up, then add flour. I used 1 cup of homemade oat flour and about 3 cups of unbleached flour. Then salt. Don't add the salt before the flour, it can affect the yeast activation. I knead mine in the KitchenAid until it's a little sticky, then finish it by hand and put it in an oiled bowl to rise for about 45 minutes in a warm spot.
There is a life I lead in this city, hurrying to cut my teeth. I can take what I need to get by, it doesn't make it easy. The other piece of my heart moves slow, somewhere in the great unknown. When I return from the after.
While the bread is rising, I cook 2 cups of lentils to use later for chili and stew.
Wait, hold on, put me together, take me back where I belong. I want it all.
While the lentils were cooking, I portioned out cooked rice into plastic wrap. It was super convenient to have pre-portioned rice, but honestly, I won't do it like this again. It just felt too wasteful. Next time I'm going to freeze it in my big ice cube trays. I've been obsessed with freezing food in those lately. I like freezing things instead of refrigerating because I never have to wonder how long it's been in the fridge. It's so nice to have multiple meal options without eating the same thing for 5 days in a row. So if it looks like I'm obsessed with freezing my meal prep, it's because I am. I've basically eliminated my food waste. Once the tomatoes were done roasting, I blended them with a bit of frozen tomato paste I found in the freezer. Next, I started chopping vegetables for the lentil stew. Onions, of course, and some celery from the food pantry. I was so excited to get celery because it's part of a mirepoix, that's celery, onion, and carrots slowly cooked together. It's basically a foolproof way to make anything taste like you know what you're doing. Once that's going, you're already halfway to a good stew, soup, or sauce. I added garlic too and let that cook down in oil. Then I diced up some potatoes really small and added them to the pot, along with some veggie broth made with better than bouillon. While that simmered, I tried making cold brew again. This was pre-recorded before I got everyone's advice from the last video, so I'll have to give it another try soon. I think my main problem might be that the coffee's old. I kind of mixed together whatever was left in the house when I was moving out during my divorce. While everything was still cooking, I made pancake mix. I love having a pancake in the morning with some peanut butter on top. I make mine with homemade oat flour for extra fiber and protein. 1 cup of oat flour, 2 cups of regular flour, 3 tablespoons of sugar, 1 tablespoon baking powder, and half a teaspoon of baking soda, and a bit of salt. I keep it in the fridge so that the oat flour stays fresh. When I cook the pancakes, I just add a few spoons of applesauce, a bit of oil, and some soy milk until it looks like pancake batter. Once the potatoes were soft, I added a little over half of the lentils and some of that tomato sauce I just made, and just enough water to get the consistency right. Then I set the stew aside to cool and started on the chili. I love a good chili for fall. I usually do 1 onion and 1 bell pepper, but I didn't have any bell peppers today, so I just doubled up on the onions. I fried them with garlic and spices, and then added the rest of my tomato sauce. I rinsed the blender with water and added that too, plus a can of chili beans, which are just seasoned pinto beans. Then I let that simmer while I cleaned up and ran the dishwasher. Cleaning as you go makes meal prepping so much easier. Once the stew cooled, I added the frozen peas and carrots. Since I'm freezing it, I didn't want to cook the frozen vegetables first. They hold up better this way. Then I spooned the stew into my giant ice cube trays. It's perfect for portioning out later without thawing more than I want. My trays were full, so the chili had to go into 3 medium-sized containers instead. The next morning, I popped the frozen stew cubes out and bagged them up. I lay each cube one on top of the other so that the bag lays flat in the freezer. I'll link the ice cube trays I use in the description in case you want to try them out too. The next video should be a food pantry haul, so subscribe so you don't miss it. I love and appreciate you so much. Thanks. Bye.